Hello, lovely people. I have just finished a 3-hour lesson where I was staring at the screen, trying to remember positions. I put 2 positions on the board that I had to memorize, and I spoke out the coordinates, and then the person who was helping me with this lesson, who I will introduce in a subsequent video, he asked me to name the color of each square. So every piece that I put down in my mind, bishop on d6, I had to name the color of the square. I'm trying to tell you that I'm very tired. I forgot that I had a daily game, and so started that lesson at 4 p.m. my time, ended it at 7 p.m. and then thinking I should just eat some food and go to bed, I realized, oh yeah, I said yesterday I started a new series where I was going to play a daily rapid game. So expect miracles on the board, and we'll get into it. Okay, so Don't Sweat It 1, basically the same rating as me, has started with e4, and we're going to play c5. I think the main line here is to just push d6, so I'm going to do that. And I think the main line here is just to take that pawn with the c-pawn. I can't see any decent candidate moves apart from knight f6, or at least none that I want to play. So I don't really want to play knight c6 because I'm most keen to get my, I suppose, no, this is silly. I would like to also get my bishop out, so another candidate move could be g6. But at this point, the reason I liked knight f6 is because it attacks the pawn, which can't push and attack the knight because of this lovely d6 pawn. So I'm going to play that move. Now I'm going to play g6. So that undefends this pawn. The bishop moved to e3. But the only way I can see of making use of that is by playing queen to b6. And I don't think that's a good idea, really, just putting myself into a easy discovered attack. I think I'd better just get on with development. Has it threatened anything, their move? I don't think so. I could play queen a5 here, saying, okay, I think the best response is to move your bishop back to d2, because otherwise I'm threatening to take this pawn on e4 because of the pinned knight. So I'm basically just saying you've wasted a move and I'm developing my queen. I'm going to do that. If they do come back with the bishop, now because my knight's out on f6, I can move my queen over to e5, putting pressure on a newly undefended knight on d4 because the bishop's covering the queen's defense. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So they defend that pawn. I'm just going to get on with my development. I think now might be the time to play knight b6. My queen can't get trapped. I am able to take back towards the center, control more central squares. My opponent is missing a d pawn. And so if I can replace my missing c pawn with a b pawn, then I think I'm doing a little bit better from that. Not better than my opponent, but just better than having a missing c pawn. I don't think there are too many moves to think about. I think I'm just going to move my queen back to c7. Going to b4 doesn't really do anything because it's attacking a pawn, which I'm attacking twice and it's defended twice. On c7, this knight can be a bit annoying. Probably just to b5 instead of d5. So actually I will go all the way back to d8. Stop knight b5 becoming a threat, and if knight b5 now, I can chase it away with the pawn. Just having a quick analysis of the pieces. I really don't like the knight on b3. I think that's just not in a good position. I don't see what it's doing there. The knight on c3 is fine. The bishop on d3. Yeah, it looks okay. Has the option of going to c4 at some time, pressuring the f7 pawn. And I suppose the bishop on e3 is slightly less good to my eyes. I think my opponent's idea is to play bishop h6 with that move. But what that has done is it's allowed knight g4, because they can't escape with the bishop backwards, so they can escape forwards, but if they come to their original destination, I think h6, then it's attacked twice and only defended once, so we win a bishop. If they come to g5, push with the pawn, h4, can push with the pawn again, and ends up on g3. Not saying I definitely want to push with the, not saying I definitely want to do that, but I think I like the idea of avoiding this exchange. I do want to keep this g7 bishop. So is this move better to do that? That's another option anyway. I think the problem with that move is it keeps this rook and this bishop on these squares. The bishop's fine on that square, but it's mostly that it keeps the rook on that square for the time being, if these two pieces, which are quite happily placed here, stay where they are. So I don't like that. I think I'd like to move the knight, and it also opens up the bishop's size, so it's just more positive a move, I think. I am going to do this. I'm going to close my bishop's size temporarily because I want to get that bishop off this diagonal. Now I'm considering castling. Yep, I think I'll do that. My other option, I was thinking about what I'd do if h3 and my other option was to go knight h6, but with the idea of pushing this pawn and then having the knight come to f7, but I'm not that keen on that. Don't want to open up my king to these checks this soon, given I don't really know how the position will open up. Now, unless I push this pawn, I'm just giving that bishop back this diagonal. So they've just gone on a little long route around to get there. I will do that. It gives my knight a nice square to maybe make this maneuver in the future. I do need to get my queen out of this pin first. Two candidate moves, push the pawn, unpinning, and bishop developing to e6. Pushing the pawn is weakening my king side quite significantly. So is losing these two pieces which are surrounding my king. So I think I will push the pawn. The other option allows them to just take. So if bishop to e6, take, and take. So I will push. So I'm developing my worst piece because it stops white taking control of this diagonal. And at the moment, I don't really see where that bishop's going or what it's doing. So rather than another candidate move I had was moving my king over with a view of putting this rook on this square. If the bishop then did, if the white bishop then did move to c4, taking control of that diagonal to gain back control of it, I would probably have to just have a trade of bishops on the e6 square by putting my bishop on e6. Getting my queen out of the way of this pawn, which I'd like to push, and also defending the d6 pawn, which could be attacked with any white light square bishop move. In this position, when I played knight d4, I thought I was being fancy, and I got confused. I thought, well, I can't play this move because the pawn's there, which would fork the king and queen. But yeah, I calculated the line of takes, and I thought, oh, well, I can't just take back with the queen because I lose a knight. But then I miss. I'm obviously pretty tired because I saw. Okay, well, if I change the move order, I can take that pawn on f3 first, lose the queen somehow, it makes no sense now, and then fork the king and queen, and this queen is undefended, so it's fine. As soon as I played the move knight d4, I realized I've just had a complete brain fart. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I can't do any of the things I just said. That is a very, very unusual move. Surely that's a mistake. Okay, maybe not surely. Let's just give it a second. But very unusual. If I take back with the g-pawn, I'm forever encasing this g7 bishop by this pawn, because there are no more pawn breaks. I can't take with this pawn ever again. So I kind of feel like I should take with that pawn. Are there sacrifices? Are they going to sacrifice with the knight? Possibly. In which case, it doesn't matter which pawn I take with, or at least I shouldn't be so scared of the encasing. Okay, so it was a sacrifice. They took a little bit to think about that, so I don't know if that was an intentional sacrifice, if they saw that there were two pawns on it. I am going to capture back. Okay, I was wondering what to do. I hadn't quite finished figuring it out. The thing about leaving this bishop here and moving forward with my knight, for example, is it's a positive move. I can just take back with this pawn if they take my bishop, and I've organized my pawns. I've got two central pawns. They've got an isolated pawn still. I am going to do that. I've talked myself into it. The other option would be to retreat with the bishop and keep the bishop pair, but their best piece is this knight, I think, at this point. And if they trade it, so be it. I think I'm in a good place. The good thing about this knight move as well is it threatens that that fork that I mentioned earlier, the one that was a complete ghost, made no sense, and I don't even know how I calculated that. I think I'm just too tired. And what I can do is maybe move this king over, move this rook over, at some point move this bishop away, and then that forks suddenly 4 moves in on. And I don't think they'll want to trade because they're down a piece. How to improve my pieces. I've got to be quicker, so I'm just going to make this move. I think the queen has to just demote herself slightly, and it opens up my bishop's eyes. So this move I don't think is a threat because of the bishop taking. Okay. I'm going to take this pawn. If knight takes bishop, then we just recapture with the pawn as before. Okay. I'm not going to move my king to h7 because of the pawn push discovery attack on my king. So, but I would like to get my king off this, out of this pin, and out of the line of fire of that queen in general. My queen covers b7. So anything like this and we're good. This pawn is now threatened. It has a queen defending it, but it is threatened. They might take on b7. In a bullet game, I would have pre-moved this because that often happens. But this isn't a bullet game, this is a rapid game. I am threatening a fork on 2 rooks now, so I don't think there's a way to... No, I'm forgetting the queen is covering the c3 pawn. But I think I've got bigger fish to fry as well. I think I can start attacking on the king side. Rook f to g8, bishop e5. Bishop e5 straight away. Yep, it covers both these squares the knight can jump to. It attacks the queen. This is still a threat. This is scary, but they can't move that pawn, and I'm not going to push my pawn to allow it, so I don't think it's as scary as it might seem. I could fork the bishop and the rook. I just don't think that bishop's worth taking. It's this pawn is doing me a great favor. All right. It's easy to sound like an idiot when that pawn disappears and I get checkmated on h7, but I think for now I am safe. Okay. I think I can just take that. What's wrong with me taking that? Okay. So now the pawn can move. If I take that with the knight, with the bishop, the pawn can move. Are they just banking on me not seeing that? I think they're banking on me not seeing that. Well, yeah, okay, the pawn moving does attack my bishop. Thinking about this move at some point soon. Just making slight improvements to my attacking chances. If rook takes, I win the bishop by forking the king and the bishop by a rook to g2 move. They had that for quite a while. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm too tired. I'm too tired to play this game. I was like, okay, I'd rather take the rook in the corner with the queen. But that's not, that wasn't the option. They weren't the two choices. I could lose my queen instead. Sadly, I think that's the end of my game. Nice. Okay, so I think the most important point was, I don't want the engine to be on. I don't want the engine to be on. There we go. There we go. So I think the most important point was here. I should have been patient, and rather than allowing them to do what I was clear I didn't want them to do, I was explicit. I don't want that pawn to move, and I allowed that, and I should have maybe just pushed here and then kept everything nice and neat and tidy, not opened up the eyes of these two pieces. But instead, I was overconfident, and I took not understanding. Like, I even said, I was missing stuff. I was missing stuff. And then obviously just, I missed that the bishop was going to take the rook. I missed that. Well, I obviously missed that the rook take the queen. Not good. But hey, there you go. I will 6 blunders. Oh, it's disgusting. What a terrible game. I will attempt to play less tired in the future, but I hope you enjoy this. I hope you took away something from this awful game. I know that I'll have a look at it with a less tired eye, and I wish you the best Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I wish you the best Tuesday, and speak to you soon.